Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is the new, slightly refreshed Mazda CX-50, and today I'm gonna review it for you guys. Now, normally in the beginning of my videos, I tend to have some sort of joke or maybe a little funny observation, but honestly, I haven't really prepared anything for this CX-50 because I'm just really sick. And so Mazda graciously lent me this CX-50 for the week, but this is the only day I have available, so we're just gonna truck through. I have a cough drop in my mouth right now, tissues in my back pocket, and I am prepared to show you around this car and tell you about everything that it has. And the benefit for you guys is, I can tell you all these features while I'm sick, and you don't have to worry that if I accidentally sneeze, that you're going to get sick. Now, as I mentioned up top, the CX-50 doesn't get too many changes for the 2025 model year. Among the big ones are the option that this one has of a hybrid powertrain and a little bit larger screen on the interior across all of its trims, and some other minor things here and there. I personally think the CX-50 was already a fantastic SUV when it was first unveiled, and so these small changes add to really make it an even better one. While we're here up front, you'll have your LED headlights with these really cool LED daytime running lights, and then your LED turn signals are located a little bit lower on the front fascia of this SUV. Moving underneath the hood in the CX-50, as I mentioned, this is the first model year with a hybrid available. This combines a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine with 3 electric motors. That helps with the electronically controlled continuously variable transmission and the electronically controlled all-wheel drive system. Now, this is a mild hybrid, so it doesn't have a full plug-in hybrid setup, but there is some distinct benefits. For one, this is a little bit more powerful than the regular 2.5 liter. This has 219 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. And the fuel economy numbers are markedly better than the regular gas engine. The EPA rates this at 39 city, 37 highway with 38 combined, which makes it 10 miles per gallon better than the regular gas engine. Now, in my testing over the last week, I averaged just below 36 miles per gallon, though at points I did creep up a little bit over 36, but I never quite made it to 38. Moving to the profile of the CX-50, what a looker. Oh my word, I just think even from the beginning, Mazda has knocked it out of the park with the styling of this. Mazda's corporate design language is one of my favorites in the industry. It's just a really good looking SUV. It honestly looks closer to an Acura than a Mazda from certain angles. And I think what's brilliant with the CX-50 is that they've just sort of taken the sharp looks of the CX-5 and they've given it the light off-road treatment, which basically means they've added this black plastic fender flare, body cladding, and you know, it looks pretty good. I think it works well on this CX-50. This is not the most off-road focused vehicle out there, but it can handle some sort of off-road situations for sure, and it definitely looks the part. And I think Mazda hit right at the exact time when the black plastic cladding was becoming really hot. You know, the Crosstrek, and then all these other cars started to come out with it as well. Now here on this particular CX-50, you're going to get 225 55R tires around these 19-inch wheels. I like the silver and dark gray design. I think they match really well with the fender flares here. You'll have a hybrid badge up here, and then a blacked out mirror cap with a turn signal indicator in here. It does have blind spot monitoring, and they are also power folding mirrors. So when I hit lock on the vehicle, whoops, I hit unlock. There we go, lock. They will fold in, and then when I hit unlock, they will fold out. You also do have keyless entry here as well. And then moving down the profile of the vehicle, you will have some pretty sweet tail lights right here. You'll get dual exhaust, your CX-50 all-wheel drive badge, and another hybrid badge, as well as a backup camera right here. Now, of course, you can open the lift gate from here if you would like, but that gives me an opportunity to show you the key fob. Not 8, Mazda. I presume this 8 is from the vehicle manufacturer people. It's probably their 8th one in their fleet. But here's what the key looks like. I cannot promise you it will say 8 on the back, though I'm sure you can go out and get a sticker to really make it as realistic to this review as possible if you want to match it. You do have lock, unlock, panic, and then you hold this button, you have the ability to open up the lift gate. And then stepping inside, you have a really good amount of space back here, quite a lot of storage. I took this shopping yesterday and I was able to fit 2 full shopping carts worth of items back here. It was honestly really impressive. Then off to the side, you'll have these pull tabs. You want to extend the storage capacity as well. That's very nice. And you have a much larger load floor in there. Then you'll also have some storage here on the sides as well, and your donut underneath here. That pretty much concludes the rear cargo capacity. Up here, you can either choose to lock the vehicle or you can just lower the lift gate. Now that we've talked about the exterior and a little bit of the back, let's talk about the inside. Moving to the interior of the CX-50, what an impressive interior indeed. As many people have come to expect from modern Mazdas, this has a very premium feel, just even down to the door panel here. This is soft touch. This is also soft touch down here, so either place you'd rest your arm is very nice. You have this really very premium brown stitching that continues into the dash. It's also in the seats. It just feels very upscale. And some of the features you get in here also feel very upscale. Starting on the door panel, you'll have, standard window controls, though they are all one touch down, one touch up, which is not something you get on every vehicle. You'll have the aforementioned power folding mirrors if you'd like to fold them from here. Lock and unlock. Your memory seat settings down here. The lift gate popper, this will pop your gas cap, and then you have some other settings here for the safety and the TCS right there, the traction control system. And you can turn off some of the safety stuff if you'd like. I know some people do want to turn that safety stuff off. You will have your volume control right here, your channel changing, then your radar guided cruise control settings right here. Your Bluetooth is sort of cleverly hidden down here. I don't know how well you can see that. And then if we click info, this looks like a pretty standard triple set of gauges, but actually that center one is a screen and that will change. Now there's not a ton of customization here in the center screen, but there's a few things you can cycle through, including the drive mode. The drive mode selector down here, My Drive, is right there, and you'll have Trail, which changes up the look of the center. You also have Power in addition to Normal, so that changes the center as well. And so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty neat look, and it's very simplistic. I like that Mazda kind of keeps that stuff simple. Then you do get a heads-up display here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can just see the 0 miles per hour floating right there. That will also display your speed limit sign when we're on a road. It'll throw up a speed limit sign. I'm out in a field right now, so it's not doing that. But that's very cool, always premium to have the heads-up display. And then as I mentioned earlier, you get a little bit larger standard infotainment screen here. Now, the quirk with Mazda's infotainment is that it is primarily not a touchscreen. You actually use this dial to spin between the different interests, and you can click the dial, and there's also a back button right here that you can use, and that will cycle you through the different areas of the car. Now, some people would just prefer this to be a touchscreen, but if I'm sitting in this position, it is really hard to get to the screen. Curiously, it is a touchscreen when you have Apple CarPlay activated. I'm not 100% sure about Android Auto, but the Apple CarPlay does work. So it is a capacitive touchscreen that does work, but they sort of lock that feature off. From what I know, Mazda's idea is that they want you to be able to look at the road, so your eyes are on the road here, but you can still cycle through whatever you want to out of the corner of your eye, and that will help you to keep your eye on the road more prevalently. Now, I actually think it works pretty good. I like Mazda's system. I did not like it at first, but over the past few Mazda vehicles that I've reviewed and sort of getting used to that system over time, I'm actually pretty impressed by it. I think it's pretty neat, and you sort of get used to it very quickly, spinning this dial and clicking in. It's nice, and your volume's over here as well. I don't mind that it's primarily not a touchscreen. And then moving down here, you will have your climate controls, which I'm happy to say are still physical here. Your push-button start, heated and ventilated seats, which are always welcome on any sort of premium car. I think that's very cool. Down here, you'll get a lone 12-volt port right there, cigarette lighter. A little bit of storage, your shifter. If we shift this into reverse, you get a standard backup camera. The lines do not move as you turn the steering wheel, unfortunately, but it is a very crisp camera, very easy to see out the back. Then you have the aforementioned My Drive, your EV mode, so you can hit this. As you can see, it says EV mode temporarily unavailable. That's because we don't really have much range. It hasn't recharged itself back up. You'll have your electronic parking brake, and then all the aforementioned controls for the infotainment. There it was. See, I was waiting. I was waiting to cough. I was like, oh, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get through it. But now this is kind of funny, so maybe I'll leave it in the video. All the stuff that I edit around when I'm sick doing these videos is quite amusing. But I really had to cough for the last, minute and a half. And instead of cutting, I was like, I can do this. And I did. But then now you saw that I coughed. Here in the center of the armrest right here, it's very nice, very comfortable, very plush. But also it has this kind of fun feature where each side can open up individually. So if the passenger wants to get something in there, they can, or the driver, they can just switch, and then the other person can still rest their arm there. And then down inside there, you're going to get 2 USB-Cs. I'm telling you, right in between everything. I got a cough. It's tough. I got to get another cough drop. That's what I need to do. But we're almost done. We're going to power through. Your wireless charger is right. I've got a cough again. I'm going to get a cough drop. Okay, the only cough drop I could find is this Ricola one, and it's lemon honey echinacea. And I had one of these earlier, and the best way I can describe that this tastes is it kind of tastes like chlorinated pool water. But it's going to help us get through this video, and so, the show must go on. And that's what we're going to do here. So, chlorinated pool water, here we go. The seats are power operated. They are power adjusting, and they do have lumbar support as well, which is always a welcome addition. And then up here, you'll have a pretty standard auto dimming mirror. And then you will have these very nice LED lights that come on softly. They don't actually flicker like that. That's a camera refresh rate issue. And then you'll have a sunglasses holder and this very nice panoramic moonroof. Also, quick insert. I forgot to mention this in the main video, so I'm recording this bit later. But the sunroof only opens that much. The width of my finger reaches further than the sunroof opens. That's pretty crazy that it only opens that much. It does not go any further than that. But Mazda does this on a lot of their vehicles. The sunroof just really doesn't open very wide. Unfortunately, for some people that might not be an issue at all, but it's something to consider. Moving to the rear seats, unfortunately this rear door panel suffers from what a lot of manufacturers end up doing for their rear seats. it has pretty hard touch plastic right here where it was very nice and soft up there. Now, it is still soft down here, so that is still a comfortable place to rest your arm. But I think a lot of these manufacturers know primarily children will be in these back seats and they'll be scuffing this up, and you know, better to scuff up cheap plastic than the nice leatherette material. I am 5'9", and I have about 4 inches of legroom, and I would say maybe about an inch of headroom. Of course, I could slouch, and then I'd get more headroom and compromise my legroom just a tiny bit. It's comfortable in here. I definitely don't feel cramped, but I definitely don't have as much headroom as I would like. Now, moving down here, creature comfort-wise, you do get 2 climate vents, 2 USB-Cs, and the best view out of this panoramic moonroof in the car. And then you have this nice leatherette strap that you can pull to pop out these 2 cup holders. It is very nice back here, just not necessarily as nice as up front. Let's take this thing for a spin. So we're just getting it out onto the road here, and I want to get a little bit further down the road before we really talk about the driving aspect of this car in many ways. But you know, I would like to take this moment to talk to you guys about the motion picture director Rob Reiner, because I recently was bored on a plane and I was scrolling through the movies and I decided to watch When Harry Met Sally, right? I've heard many things about this film, and I watched it and I was like, wow, that was like a very articulate rom-com. And I came to find out that this was the film that Rob Reiner directed immediately after The Princess Bride, which is wildly impressive to have 2 back-to-back hits like that. Some would argue The Princess Bride is like one of the best movies ever. You know, definitely a very favorite cult classic. I know people that hate it, like my own mother. But I had never seen When Harry Met Sally, which makes sense, not necessarily something my parents would show me as a child, since it mostly, you know if you've seen When Harry Met Sally. But I was just like, man, back-to-back bangers. That's crazy, Rob Reiner. Good for you. And that's the Rob Reiner Minute here at Alpha Shark. Only in this video, limited time. And now we're going to go back to the Mazda CX-50 review. This thing handles so competently. I mean, around corners, it's just very tight. The steering is very nice. You don't get a lot of body roll. It's a very, very comfortable drive overall. And what I love about Mazda is their interiors feel very premium as well. So you're very plush in the seats. It's a very nice seating position. You really feel like you have good visibility on the road. Looking back, there's a little bit of a blind spot near my C-pillar, but it's not bad. It definitely has very good visibility, and there's a nice safety system in this car as well that really helps with that blind spot. And overall, it's very comfortable. It's a nice little SUV that is luxurious, but it's not exactly flashy. You know, I think some people are like, hey, I'd really like ventilated seats. That seems like a very nice feature. And they'd be right, it is a nice feature. But they don't want to spend like big Lincoln money or crazy Lexus, BMW, Audi money, you know, whatever it might be. And they don't want to drive around in something like that. But this CX-50 gives you a lot of the luxury elements that you would get on those other cars, but in a much less expensive package, as well as it's a more subtle looking vehicle that still has some cool sharp and angular lines. And so I think this handles great. The suspension eats bumps up here on the back roads that I'm on, and then when you get it on the highway, it gets up to speed pretty quickly. It's definitely not going to win any land speed records, but it is fairly fast for what it is. And this hybrid model is nice. The added fuel efficiency is always welcome on a vehicle like this, and I think that makes it even more compelling to buy. The safety system isn't perfect. I have driven up and down this road a couple of times over the past week, and you may have heard that beeping noise. That was a sensor on this car that was alerting me to turn the wheel because I think it thought I was going to crash. But the way that this road goes, it sort of turns very abruptly, but you're not turning the wheel yet because you're like, why would I start turning now? It kind of curves this way. So I think the car believes I'm going to crash. And so it gives me that little beep for a second and then it goes away. Thankfully, it does not lock up the brakes or anything. But I have noticed it does that. And that's something that could be patched out in the future. Hopefully it would be updated to be a little bit more aware, like, oh, car's not crashing, I'm fine here. It might even do it up here at this lane because this is another similar turn. See, it's not doing this, which is very bizarre. I know if I turn this car around right at that same intersection, it's done it a couple of times, but going the opposite way. So it's very strange. It doesn't have a good read of the road in certain places. You may never experience anything like that with the CX-50, or you might experience it all the time. I don't know. But hopefully that's something that Mazda can patch out. It's just a little beeping chime very quickly, not the end of the world. That's really the only inconvenience that I've noticed during my driving experience with the CX-50 this week. Well, that's just about going to wrap up my video here on the CX-50. I really hope it was informative for you guys and that you learned something about this car. If you still have questions about the CX-50, I'll do my best to answer them in the comment section below. Ask away. I can't promise I'll have all the answers though, but I really hope you guys enjoyed. And before I go, I always like to mention that I am a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can also leave those in the comment section below. And lastly, I like to close out with a weekly scriptural reading. This week, I'm in the book of Psalms, chapter 57, specifically verse 1. Have mercy on me, my God, have mercy on me, for in you I take refuge. I will take refuge in the shadow of your wings until the disaster has passed. I was recently reading in Psalms, and I read that, and it was very encouraging for me because I've had a lot of personal issues in my life recently that have felt, kind of disastrous, right? And I was like, all right, Lord, just have mercy on me, protect me, and keep me safe in your loving arms as I kind of weather this storm. So I hope that could also be an encouragement to you guys. And as my final send-off, as I often say, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. Take care.